Whether we could get it down to £15, I suspect we might be able to. Hannah, could you just pull up the cost price for me on the pods, if you can just dig into the price files, yeah? I'll just have a look. So if it could be done, I would certainly say, why not? Why not? If there is a groundswell and people would buy them, let me just do a calculation.
Chris is calculating. You got enough fingers there?
Yes, I'm calculating. What do you say? 14.95 and 19.95 in the States, yeah?
Yeah.
I think we could probably do that. I need to look at the postage cost in terms of getting it out and how we might package that. But I think we could probably do it. Certainly give it a trial. Tell you what we'll do. We will ask Helen, and maybe you, Hannah, if you don't mind, to just look at the packaging costs and the posting costs in a bit more detail. And if it's possible, we'll try and get it up by the end of next week. Yeah?
I think it's worth a try.
Yeah, definitely worth a try. Yeah. I mean, does everybody know what we're talking about? Service pod.
Probably.
Shall I dig one out of my cupboard?
Sure. I may have one close by too.
This is what we're talking about, yeah?
Yeah, part of the, I guess the second part of this question is that can it be made to fit into the current packaging or fit into some redesigned packaging? I guess
yes.
Something like that, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought so, not in the current packaging. There is a little bit of space in the current packaging to where we put the box for a spare strap. If somebody buys a spare strap with a watch, it's probably only, I mean, I'm guessing, but let's say 1.5 inches. I think this is probably about 2 inches. It's probably going to rattle around. So I wouldn't do that. I think we just ship these out separately, Kip, rather than put them in the current packaging.
Okay.
I mean, we can investigate it, that's for sure. I mean, if there is a possibility of squeezing it in, if somebody bought one together with a watch, then yeah, we do our best to get it out in one package. That would make sense, certainly save us some money, free deliveries around the world and all that. But top of my head, just looking at it, I'd say that might be a tall ask.
Would you consider, a question came through about whether you would consider using that instead of the current packaging, you know, like a deluxe box, for people that have, you know, made multiple purchases? Would make it an option?
I suppose it could be an option, but then yeah, we'd have to look at what the ramifications of that are, because obviously there's paperwork, cost certificates have got to go out. But we need some form of box to get both the service pod, all the paperwork. Yeah, so when you think about it like that, whilst the customer might be happy that, you know, he's maybe saving 30 or 40 pounds because he's not getting a box, he is going to get a package that, you know, the experience isn't going to be great for him. I don't know. We need to investigate that. I think we have to look at the whole thing. I'm not against it, but I think there's more to think about. But certainly in terms of getting one of these into one of your hands relatively quickly, I don't see a problem with that. It's just another product at the end of the day, isn't it? We can just set that up.
You could easily sell them from the showroom.
Sorry, Kip, I missed that.
You could easily sell them at the showroom.
Yeah, we could sell them in the showroom as well. Yeah, not a problem. But if the uptake is 58%, I look forward to getting all your orders if we get them up on the site next week.
Here we go. Well, now it's up to the crew, right?
Yeah, down to you lot. Yep.
All right. Well, let's see. Speaking of the packaging, since we're on that subject, I mean, the current packaging that you revised, what, almost 2 years ago now?
I think it's not as far back as that, but we started the journey 2 years ago, yeah.
I mean, it seems to have solved a lot of the shipping issues, damaged pieces, damaged boxes, you know, watches being loose inside. At least from the forum's perspective, it seems that there's been less complaints about the packaging, other than, you know, it's a big, beautiful box, but now what do I do with it? Aside from that, have you considered anything a little more eco-friendly? No plastic straws, you know.
Yeah, no plastic straws, yeah. One-use plastic. Well, there's not much plastic in our boxing, if any, but I do take your point. Yeah, I mean, certainly, as you say, the forum have all said that the new packaging has worked wonders. They are getting their boxes, especially those people abroad, in much better condition than they had done in the past. The corners aren't dented. We all know what USPS and the UK Post are like in that last 100 yards. So that is much better. In terms of the customer experience, we know from all the email that we get back and the Trustpilot scores that the general public like it, not just the forum. So I think it's been a big win in that respect. You may be right about the eco-friendliness of it. There is a lot of paper there. Maybe we're killing 1 or 2 trees more than we should. In fact, I went out on social media and I did talk about the future of packaging. And I have been looking into it, but we've done nothing about it as yet. But I think one of the things I can do is probably see if there's a way in which we can reduce the amount of material that we put into our packaging, still get the same customer experience, and rather than make it, I think your words were, make it more eco-friendly, I would go a little bit further and see if we can make it totally environmentally friendly, so using different materials perhaps that are biodegradable. But I think that'll take a bit of work. Hasn't started yet. We can ask Adrian to look into it. I would think it's probably another year's project. And then on top of that, if we were to introduce it, I'd have to see what sort of commitment we've got on the new packaging anyway. But I would say you probably wouldn't see anything for another year at least. But it's certainly a worthy cause that I'm interested in. And I know the team in CW are interested in. And it'll be something that we're definitely going to look at over the next couple of months.
Sounds good. Let's see. I guess, we had a question about other accessories.
Yeah.
Well aware that, you know, you used to have the leather line.
Oh, yes, well aware of that, Kip. Still got the scars on my back.
Well, we still have some good iPad cases that work.
Okay, yeah.
Was there any plans to reintroduce any leather accessories? You know, with the new twin flag motif and, you know, like a watch roll or something, some sort of travel case, maybe, you know, along the lines of the service pod there.
Yeah, I think the answer is honestly no. I think we did try, and we did try in a big way. We had a proper go at it. Whether it's twin flags or the old logo or whatever, doesn't matter. The leather goods thing, it didn't really work for us. And I think what it also did, apart from being difficult to sell, I think our customer base are looking for watches and straps foremost. Secondary items such as mechanical winders obviously sell, but the leather accessories was really like it was pushing water uphill. So I don't think we'll revisit that, to be honest. I think it's more about focus and what we focus on. And I think, I mean, if you look at, if you go back a couple of years, we were doing women's watches, for example, and then we decided to pull away from that. So to 20%, 15%, and then 10% of the turnover. But the effort was 30, 40%, didn't sort of weigh up. And since we've made that change, you can see that the focus that we put into our men's watches, I think, or I hope, everyone agrees has gone much, much better. So for me going forward, I think it's a matter of focus, and leather accessories, probably not. In fact,
Well,
I think it's a definitely not, to be honest, Kip.
well, the reason you got out of the ladies' collections was primarily because of diverting your resources a little bit too thin. They were better sourced, better put into the men's collection, correct?
That's correct. And to be honest, at that time, it was the quartz market. It just wasn't helping the brand as a whole. And to be honest, women were beginning to move into men's watches. They were wearing bigger watches. They were buying the husbands and the boyfriends mechanical watches. And a trend started that way. So it sort of helped it along. And I think we're in better shape having got out of women's. And certainly we're definitely in better shape having got out of some of the leather accessories.
All right. Have you ever considered developing a quick release spring bar for the bracelets?
Yes, we have. In fact, Adrian is working on it now. He's been working on that project. Adrian's disappeared, so he can't nod his head, but I think probably for a good 4 or 5 months now. And he's now just about at prototype stage. Can I share something with you? Probably too early, to be honest, because it's something that we don't want, because we're probably another year away. Maybe sooner than that. Adrian will let us know, but because we're a fair distance away, I wouldn't really want the competition to see what we're doing. It is exciting. It is quick release, and it does have a new opening mechanism as well. So I would, Adrian will confirm exactly where he's up to, either online or offline, but certainly it is a project that's in truck. And it's one that we definitely want to bring to fruition as quickly as possible.
That would be a good, especially since the C60s can be a bear for some people to change.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's difficult enough for qualified technicians to change sometimes. So a quick release will just help everybody. And it'll be great commercially as well. So it makes sense. Obviously, it's not as cheap as a couple of spring bars. So there may be a few pounds being added onto the price point. But we'll do our best to try and hold them. If we can, we will. If we can't, then I think the little rise in price that we'll get will be well worth it for the finished article.
Have you, I mean, as far as the quick release, the only one that I've actually seen myself is that Fossil has is on the Michelle brand. There are a couple of other companies that have them. I'm not familiar with them. Yeah. The Michelle, the one that Fossil has, at least unless they've changed it recently, is not a very good thing long term. They were very fragile and not repairable. Yeah. Right,
okay. I'm not particularly familiar with that one, but I have seen the Tag Heuer one. They've got a fairly decent one. It's quite easy to use, but obviously their systems is under patent, so we won't go near that. So what Adrian is doing is he's developing a robust mechanism that we can call ours, and certainly I wouldn't say we're the first in the market. We might be the first in the UK to bring it out, but it certainly will be innovative if Adrian pulls it off. I'm sure he will. Certainly everything we've seen so far looks positive. So you know, should be fine.
Well, since you're in the designing reworking some of the bracelets for something like this. Have you considered bracelets, new bracelets for the C1, C3, C5, 65, C8 range? I mean, all of these lines that don't have bracelets currently, other than, I mean, a fitted bracelet, not as opposed to a straight end.
All right, I know what you mean, yeah. So if we take the, I think you've named the whole range there, but certainly the C1, C3, C5s, currently we just put them on the mesh bracelets. Two reasons for that. First reason is on dress watches, the bracelets tend to, certainly in our experience, only take about 14 to 17% of the sales, depending on the line. So to develop a bracelet for those lines doesn't really make sense, which is why we choose to go with the mesh bracelet route, which is much easier and not fitted. So there's no tooling charges. We just bring in our bracelets. On the C8 range, we've always felt internally that to introduce a bracelet there, we think we'd get even less than 10% of the sales. Aviation is all about leather, maybe NATO, those sorts of straps, canvas straps, webbing straps. But we think bracelets is the wrong way to go, certainly when we've looked at it on our aviation range. What's the other one? The C65 you did mention, yeah? I do have a C65 bracelet, which, Hannah, when are we launching that? Mid-August. Okay, so we will be launching a C65 bracelet in mid-August.
I just shared a picture of that.
All right, okay. I've actually got a bracelet as well, Adrian. So share your picture and then I'll show the watch. Okay, so as you can see there, it is this bracelet will be all brushed and it will be fully integrated into the C65. If I can just pull down my webcam, I think this is probably the easier way to do it. So there is the C65. And there is the bracelet which will be fitted in. And as I say, that will be launched in the next couple of weeks, and we'll start shipping that out, I think, probably towards the end of August. So hopefully that's okay. That's the C65, all brushed, and that is a definite goer.
Great. That should go, if that goes half as good as the C65, you're in great shape, right?
No, that's right. Well, if you look at the C60 range, the Trident, certainly in the 43 millimeter model, 70% of the sales are taken on bracelets. One of the reasons we didn't initially do the C65 on a bracelet was because we considered it was probably, could be considered more of a dress watch. So we were looking at maybe the 15 to 20%. But the C65 is such a riot, it just doesn't make sense not to try the bracelet. So that's what we're doing. You will see it in August.
Great. Okay, we have a couple of people wondering if why you don't offer all of the straps currently with a choice of a standard clasp, or a Bader buckle or a deployant of some sort.
It's really a value equation, really. We did try that. If you remember, there was a point in, I don't know, maybe my memory doesn't work that well, but it's 2 to 3 years ago, you know, we introduced extra large, we introduced extra small, then we had it in a dress clasp version. There were still some deployment clasps, the sort of the normal deployments, and then we had our own Barder buckle, and then eventually we got rid of the older style deployment clasps in favor of the Barder buckle, which is a much superior buckle anyway. And And what we found was our stock holding and our working capital as a business just started clogging up. Numerous SKUs, multiple options, and there's very little incremental value in what we did. So you will have seen bit by bit we've been reducing our range again. Now we could, but actually we can't. And the reason why we can't introduce both a dress clasp version and a barred buckle version of the same strap is because they're not the same strap. The specifications are completely different. So, 125/80 standard strap that has a dress clasp also has a hole where the tongue goes. You can't just simply fit a barred buckle because a barred buckle specification needs to be 90/110 so that the buckle fits in a different place on the wrist. So it's not as simple as that. And even if we were to just sell the buckles on the side, so maybe we just sold the dress clasp, or maybe we just sold the barred buckle and you could pick and choose yourselves, you would probably be putting a buckle on a strap that it wouldn't suit. So for example, you couldn't put a tongued buckle on a barred strap because it won't have the cutout. Right. And you can't put a barred buckle on a normal dress clasp because the length is different and the barred buckle will be fitting somewhere around the knuckle on your wrist. So, long answer to a question, which is, will we do it? Probably not again. We'll just horses for courses. The better end straps will probably carry barred buckles, and the lower end, like the Oaks, the vintage Oaks, will carry dress clasps. Having said that, there seems to be a move back to dress clasps anyway, and I don't know whether that's a trend we're picking up because vintage is coming back in more at the fore, but certainly there's no resistance to dress clasps. It certainly hasn't stopped us selling our C1 range, for example. But we do have both sets of strap, both types of buckle are there in the range. So it only takes an email to swap one out. So for example, if somebody wanted to buy a C3 instead of the Oak on a strap, they wanted a Cordovan with a border, it's only an email away. So we can cater for that.
While we're on the subject of straps, question came in that about straps for some of the older models, like the C2, C20, C40.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be anything available currently that will fit those. Now you did, it was a while ago, there was some talk of bringing back a limited supply of the C20 straps.
I thought we did that. Are they not on the site anymore? They should be.
Oh, maybe I don't know the answer to that then.
Okay, because I know our Swiss people have been sourcing them from Germany, and I know we did carry stock on the C2 and C20, so that should be addressed. I believe the Henley, which was a 24 mil, that's also been addressed. In terms of the C40, you'll have to remind me, Kip. I don't think we fitted that one. I think that was just a straight 22 mil strap. So any of the Tiba straps or any of the current 22 mil straps should fit that, essentially.
I thought the original strap was fitted on that, no?
The very original strap was a double tongue, and that was on the C4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we definitely won't be doing that again. But there are plenty of aviation straps, I think, that would fit a C40, and plenty of motorsport straps that would fit a C40. And if anybody's out there has got one, it's definitely a 22 mil strap that you need. But certainly the C2 and the C15 do take your point. But I believe they've been addressed. Hannah, can you just make a note? We just need to check that. Yeah.
I don't think I asked this, and I'll backtrack just a minute. Going back to the bracelets, the redesign.
Yeah.
You considered using screws as opposed to the current pin and tube.
Yes, something that Adrian's looking at on bracelets going forward. Obviously, the price does go up quite substantially there with screws as opposed to the tubes. So we're looking at both ways. We do know that people, certainly forum members, prefer screws because you're in the know, you're educated around the watch industry. Most consumers, I must be honest, don't really know the difference. So I think that's going to be a price equation, really. When we get a bit closer with the new quick release ones, we'll have that costed both ways, so we'll know, and we'll have a discussion. Maybe we have another one of these chats, and maybe we don't wait a year. Maybe we do it in the next 3 months or so. Yeah, that's definitely on our agenda. It's on our radar anyway. Yeah.
I am told by one of our investigators that there is a C20 strap on the website.
Cool. Good. We're doing our job. Got something right.
Have you ever considered selling the buckles and deployants separately?
Yeah, I think I just touched on that. I think we could sell them separately, just like the pods. It's just another product that we could sell. We do have them in stock. With the pods, I know I can just put them up tomorrow because you're going to buy a pod and I'm going to ship it out to you. With the buckles and the deployments, if you think about what I just said about the specifications, I think there's a customer journey that needs to take place that educates the customer on what buckles they can buy for their strap and for their watch. So, for example, some buckles might not go through a Tiba leather, but they would go through an oak leather. And then you've got the border buckle and where it fits on the wrist. And then if you've got a 20 millimeter strap, do you know that you need to buy an 18 millimeter buckle? You can measure it, but people get it wrong. So I think there's a whole piece of work around customer education there and how we present it on the website. It's not as simple as just putting it up. It can be done, don't get me wrong. And maybe it's something that Helen and Hannah could investigate and see, and just see how we might do that. But I'm not against it. Why not? But you guys would be all right, but it could create an absolute admin nightmare for those people that are not educated around buckles and straps. Yeah.
All right. In the past few years, question, back to our primary questions. In the past few years, the development of the SH21 movement and the success of the C60-600 seem to have been springboards for the company moving forward. Do you have any further development plans, that would serve as future springboards for the company? Not necessarily just the SH21, but for...
Just repeat the question, Kip. It was a little bit broken. I just want to make sure I got it right, yeah?
Okay, I'll read it as I was given it.
Yeah.
In the past few years, both the development of the SH21 and the huge success of the C60-600 have provided springboards to push the company forward.
Yeah.
What future developments have you got planned that you hope will be further springboards for the company?
Yeah. Okay. Future pillars of the business, as opposed to springboards. I think I know where you're coming from. If you see the way what's happened with the C65, for example, I see perhaps that the C65 will become a future pillar of the business. It's equally as strong as the Trident range when we first launched that. If you take what we did with the bronze when we introduced that, that's certainly been a runaway success. And it could be that the substrate, whether it's bronze today, titanium tomorrow, and I don't know, could be anything, platinum, could be anything, but certainly bronze at the moment is very, very strong for us. We can build on that. We also had great success in introducing the slimmer watch and a mechanical watch in the 595 in the Malvern range. So if you take those three things alone, C65, bronze, even the vintage story perhaps, I can see where we've launched those or springboarded them, if you like. I can see them becoming future pillars in the business, and I think it's probably now going to become taking those pillars and expanding the collections. So where we just launched the C65 diver, we've already started a program of new product development, and there are going to be numerous C65s coming through over the course of the next 6-7 months. 595, we will develop that as a collection. So, you know, you're quite right. The Trident was a big springboard, and it is the mainstay of the business. But now we've got quite a few mainstays, and I think that's the way it's going to develop. And then probably within those collections, which are strong collections, SH21 will, you know, undoubtedly feature.
Very good. Has the loss, and no slight on Frank, certainly, but has the loss of JJ affected any of the future developments of the SH21?
The loss of JJ, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess to expand upon that is, are there any plans to replace him other than Frank? And again, no disparagement toward Frank.
Okay. No, there are no plans to replace JJ. We believe Frank is more than capable of taking on the work that JJ started. In fact, Frank is now the technical director for the business. He worked with JJ for a number of years. He was there at inception almost when we started the SH21 journey. And in fact, both JJ and Frank have got SH21 to a stage where we can now move forward, and some of the obvious things may be, I don't know, maybe chronographs or GMTs or whatever it may be in the future. And in fact, Frank is actually more expert in chronographs than JJ is. And that was one of the reasons why they teamed up together, because when, you know, you'll all be familiar on the forum with the Bowcaster approach. One of the end goals was that eventually we would move into chronographs, and Frank was going to be the man to take that on. So I think Frank will just continue the work that JJ started, that they worked on together. Has Frank replaced JJ? Yes, he probably has, because he's sitting at the helm in terms of our technical expertise over in Switzerland. So far, he's doing a great job, and we love Frank to bits. So, yeah. And as it happens, you know, JJ and Frank, they did work together for a long time. They're both German, both live in the same country. They do speak to each other on the phone. They do meet up for lunch. They're both working in the same town. It's not like JJ's gone forever. You know, JJ has moved to Sellita. He's doing a great job there. If he can help improve Sellita, that's going to help our business. So we are talking to JJ all the time, but you know, it's not going to stop us doing anything that we wanted to do with SH21, that's for sure.
Great. All right. Are there, I guess going, this is probably directed at the C65, sort of.
Yeah.
But are there any plans for a 38 to 41 millimeter non-diver, non-rotating bezel, sport watch, an alternative to the Rolex Explorer, Aquaterra, Tudor Black Bay? I'm not sure why that one's in there, but or the North Flag. Those are the ones that were mentioned.
Okay, well, as it happens, we do have a C65 GMT that's going to launch, Hannah? Around about the end of August, early September, in line with, I think, the new Loop magazine. Somebody just rang a bell. I think Adrian may have a little teaser shot on that one. Can you dig one up, Adrian? I think I've only got a case, but
yes, I have something for you.
Okay.
I mean, some people already spotted it when I shared it first time.
What, the 22 gave it away, did the GMT? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, we've got C65 GMT, as you can see. So that'll be a 41 mil. I think that was in your tick list there. I think you said non-rotating bezel, though, didn't you, Kip? Did you?
Yes, that was the
Okay.
question.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever your taste is, this one does have a rotating bezel. Obviously, going to be required with the GMT. But that is certainly, I think this one could become one of my personal favourites over the course of the next 6 months. C65 diver that we've launched is great. It's the best seller, but I think this one is going to be loved even more. The price point will be a little bit higher because obviously the complication is a little bit more expensive being a GMT, but I think this is a winner, absolute winner. Because it's coming out in Loom magazine, I don't really want Adrian to show you much more than he's shown you. Okay?
I'll have to wait another month.
Yeah, yes, a month, yeah.
All right. Well, you do seem to have a wide range of styles available, currently at least. We pretty much are certain that your dive watches are the most popular. Is there another category, other than, say, divers or pilot, that you'd like to move into, or dress watches? I mean, aside from those, I mean, is there another niche spot that you'd like to direct things to? Maybe direct is the wrong word, but that you would consider adding that would enhance things.
Yeah, it's a difficult question, that, Kip. I mean, we've rightly or wrongly, and it's something that we chat about at CW Towers constantly. Certainly every year when we come round to looking forward and putting our NPD program down, is we've looked at the marketplace and we see that there are take women's watches out of the equation, but we think we can divide the men's watches, and this is why our website's always been set up the way it is. Aviation, dive. In fact, is there a whiteboard function here? Let me just see if I can do something. Yeah, so I don't know whether you can see me or the whiteboard, but I assume it's the whiteboard you're all looking at, yeah?
We have a whiteboard.
Okay, so let me... So if you take our range, we've got currently 4 main pillars of the range, and they cover let's go to in there. We've got dive, we've got aviation, we've got dress, and we've got motorsport. Yeah.
Yep.
So outside of those areas, it's very difficult to see that there's another category. I mean, you could say, okay, there's vintage, yeah, but you have vintage in dive, you have vintage in aviation, you have vintage in dress. Or you could say, okay, well, you've got slim, ultra thin. Okay, well, ultra thin is part of the dress section. So I think in terms of genres, if that's the right word, or categories as you call them, I think we've probably covered it. I mean, if anybody's got any thoughts on it, then please do write in. But, every year we come round to, we end up with the same. So the way we address our categories, it's not rocket science. We have those 4 categories. And then what we do is we have this policy of, whoops, how do I do that? Not the best line. Who did that? Okay. And then we've got this good, better, and best. So when we're looking at the ranging, in the good in dive, down at the bottom there, whilst we call it good, that could be a Quartz Trident 300. When you move to the better section, then we've added a ceramic bezel, we've gone to mechanical, we may have added a GMT. And then when we go to best, you may be into SH21, or we may have added a helium release valve. And motorsport, the same. We lead in with a 395 Quartz model, then better, we move up to mechanicals and chronographs. some of them may be cost certified. And then when we get to the upper part of the range, then we might be introducing, say, a Valjoux, a little bit like we did with the C700. And then one may argue that there's good, better, best, and there may even be a better than best at the top, where we're doing TMB art metal pieces, or maybe SH21s with special complications. So that's the way we look at our categorization. Certainly open to ideas, because that's the way we've always done it. We may be set in our ways, I don't know, but yeah, please, if you think there's another category out there that we can exploit, then yeah, we'd love to hear what it is.
Yeah, the question of field watches comes up from time to time.
Field watches, yeah. Yeah, I mean, does our C65 get close to a field watch, that collection?
Well, I wouldn't think so, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something. Yeah, maybe something. Adrian, have you got a view on it? Field watches?
Well, field watches have most of the time canvas straps, and using canvas straps we sell on the bronze, and you add it on a C65, the small one or the big one, doesn't really matter. You already give it the more rugged feeling to it. So they would nearly tick all the boxes. What is a field watch? Is a watch with a good lume, good legibility, usually in steel, a lot of brush, and canvas straps is nearly one of these tick boxes. So I would say take a C65 38 or C65 diver, or even better, the new GMT, and you put a canvas strap on it, you're getting close to the field.
All right, maybe it's something you boys and girls can debate on the forum, and let's see if there's merit in trying to introduce a new category called field. I tend to agree with Adrian that perhaps we can cover it off within the other categories, but if it is genuinely another category and we may be missing out, then let's think about it, and please, let's discuss it in a little bit more detail. Yeah. Well,
and I guess we'll get back to the product development, but just want to throw this one out there because it's popped up a few times. It's, on chats in the past, the subject of yachting type watches have come up. Regatta, a la Corum style.
Yeah.
Is that something that you just kind of shelved? I mean, you were talking about it at one time.
Yeah, we did. We were talking about it at a time where we had the opportunity to get involved in a sponsorship that perhaps was never really going to work, so we didn't get involved in it. And we did have our challenges, and our first challenger, apart from the Tajikistan Explorers, was Sam Breary, who was a yachtsman. So we did talk about it a few years back, but actually when you analyze the market, it's not that big. It's not that big. So I think there's, bigger fish for us to fry before we get into yachting and regatta. We did look at it, and I think ISA did a movement that can be used for yacht racing. And we looked at that and we thought, do we really want to introduce it at quartz level? Because if you start talking about a mechanical or maybe something that's electronic, it just didn't sit right at the time. So that was shelved at the time. And to be honest, it's never come back on the agenda.
Okay. Well, like I said, I want to come back to the product development, but just a couple of more quick questions here. Well,
yeah,
hopefully.
Okay.
It was mentioned, at least a couple of years ago, that the company was investigating a return service for U.S.-based customers, or in other parts of the world for that matter as well.
Yeah.
To doing the same setup that you have in the UK. Has anything developed on that end?
It did, and then it didn't. And then it did again, and then it didn't. And I think it did again about 2 or 3 more times, and then it didn't 2 or 3 more times. So we do have a project in-house, which Sammy Benson is heading up. Sammy joined us a couple of months ago. I don't know whether he's online, but apologize.
Said he wouldn't be here.
Oh, he can't be there, right? Okay. So I can say what I like. So no, Sammy joined us, and he's taken over some of the operational. Well, he's head of operations for CW UK now. So under his remit, it's a project that internally we call Project San Fran. For San Francisco, but because it was originally aimed at the States, but it's a project that we're looking to expand worldwide. In fact, we're doing it with DHL. So Hannah, if you could perhaps try and pull up the DHL postcode selector. And while you're doing that, I'll just talk about it. Yeah, so what we're looking to do is integrate DHL systems, and this is where we kept falling down every time we tried to do it and do exactly what we want and get the right customer experience. DHL couldn't quite give us what we wanted, but we're getting closer and closer. So just to give you an idea, I don't know if you can see that. I think Hannah is typing in a Californian address on the DHL system. Gives the option, so if she picks I am sending, gives you search facility, and it gives you all the locations, how far away they are for you if you want to drop your parcel off and return it to us. Also, so what we're trying to do is integrate that system into our website so that you go on, you can recall your purchases, go on, pick your location, choose whether you want to drop off or not, or choose whether you want the DHL man to ring the doorbell and take the parcel from you. Once you've done all that, their system hopefully will integrate with our system, so all your details will be preloaded. You just print them off, pick your time, or pick where you're going to go and drop it off if you want to do it in work at Staples or wherever. And the beauty about that, which has been one of the stumbling blocks. I mean, we could just point you at that link that Hannah's just looked at, but we don't want to do that, because what we actually want to do for a repair, which is going to be a watch that you get back, what we want to be able to do is clear it in the air so that you don't have to pay duty twice. So by using the DHL system, the airway bill number is tracked by the custom houses in all the various countries. And then when we send it out again on the same airway bill number, it just flies through with no duty paid. So that's what we're trying to achieve. It is in truck. It has been difficult, has taken a time. I'm now hairless. I think I had hair when we started that project. But Sammy, thank you for coming in, Sammy, and I know you're going to enjoy finishing that one off for me. So yes, the answer to that is yes, we are trying very, very hard to get that sorted out.
Well, that would be a wonderful step forward.
Yeah, no, it'd be fantastic if we can get that done. And we've come close a couple of times, but we've just fallen at the last hurdle all the time.
Question about the website.
Yeah.
Specifically about the strap section. And
yeah.
That the way that the photos are displayed on the website now, you can't tell, you know, whether it's straight end, the curved end, fitted, or.
Are we talking, sorry, Kip, are we talking straps, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, okay.
You know, would it be possible to show the complete strap?
Okay, yeah.
Getting, you know, I mean, we get a lot of questions, you know, on the forum that are just, you know, will it fit this? Is it a straight end? Is it a curved end? And you can't just, if somebody doesn't know, you're kind of lost, you know? So I'm just thinking if you were showing it, it would probably cut down some questions to customer service, you know, Alex crew and,
yeah, logically, I can't argue against you, Kip. I think you're right in everything you're saying. I do know Adrian and Helen are working on a new customer strap journey, which goes beyond just showing photographs. What I also know, though, is that is probably lower down on the agenda than maybe you might and forum members might like. So that's going to take a while. So why can't we just add an image to the gallery is what I'm thinking. And that's not beyond the wit of man. I suppose that just comes down to time and resource, but I don't think it's too big a job. Adrian will probably be hanging himself in the other room now. Just drop my pen, so I'm going to disappear.
Okay.
So I didn't hang myself yet. And just a note is all the leather straps we're currently selling on the website, they're straight hands. So there is no curve and straight. They are all straight. It's very easy.
Yeah, but I think Kip's point is probably, we probably don't even communicate that they are only straight.
That's true. That's very true.
All right. Okay. So I think what we've got then, Kip, is a little bit again coming back to straps. There's a little bit of educating that we need to put in place. I think. I will go offline and have a chat with Adrian and see if we can get some added images into the gallery so you can see the full strap, like you've said, without changing the world and the structure of the website. Yes, and I think, and then that can be done ahead of, if not in parallel with, what Helen and Adrian are trying to achieve with a whole new customer journey around straps, because we know it's not optimal. We know that.
And while we're on straps, are there any plans to expand the range of materials that are used? Different you're working on?
Yes, there are. In fact, I know Adrian was looking at what he calls hybrid, or I think the word is hybrid in English. All right, he's got one there. There you go. So he is looking at new materials. Difficult for me to see that. I'm only looking at a postage stamp size video.
Let me get you a picture if I have one.
Okay,
I have one here that's laying on a glass that we are testing with salted water for almost 3 months to see how it's affected. But,
okay.
I might have something.
So the reason I think he's probably doing it with salt water is because when we come to the next collection or variants of the Trident, working title Trident Mark III, this will be Adrian's playground for new materials in terms of strapping, maybe even the cases, but certainly the straps.
So yes, I got some pictures. Just a second.
By the way, while he's doing that, I can see, but I can't read. And there's this chat thing going on in a side screen I've got here. I'm sorry if I've been ignoring everybody, but I've just been fixated on Kip and his clocks. So no doubt, I'm sure, Kip, you'll be able to capture this and we can go through this afterwards or at our leisure, yeah?
For everybody out there, Adrian will be sending me some of the photos we use here on the chat. And I will get them posted up as soon as possible.
All right, okay. So there's a very nice looking strap. That's a little bit different to anything we're doing. Not sure whether that's a prototype or somebody else strap, but that type, I think what you're saying, Adrian, that type of thing is what you're investigating.
Exactly. So he's trying to combine best of both worlds, where we have a rubber base with where we can add some extra holes for making it breathable, which our rubber strap doesn't have, and then we can cover the top with leather, nylon, or any other type of material. So it's combined best of both worlds.
All right, cool. Sounds good to me. But again, yeah, just on the chat thing, just please everybody just let Adrian know what you think. Looks good to me. Yeah, so as I say, he'll be working that probably into the next Trident collection.
All right, Chris. Before we get on to the I mean, two things. You keep saying MK3, C60 Trident. We're going to get back to that in a moment, but there's one thing we got to ask before we move on.
I don't think I didn't say C60 Mark III, did I? Did I? Maybe
Yeah,
I
you
did.
mentioned that offhandedly twice.
Okay.
But before we get there, the one question that still keeps popping up.
Yep.
That is the logo. And although many people, it doesn't get the negative feedback that it did initially, there's still many people that don't like it. We were wondering if you could just touch base before we move on, you know, as to what your thoughts were behind the logo and why did it, you know, why doesn't it get changed back if the feedback, at least from our end, seems very negative. Every time a new watch gets released, the subject comes up again.
Okay, so you want me to put a final nail in this coffin, yeah?
Oh, well, that would suit me.
Adrian, can you, if you have access to Fraser's files, can you dig out not just the new logo, but can you dig out our previous two logos?
Yes, just give me 2 seconds.
Okay, because everybody talks about the old logo versus new logo. I think people tend to forget that we've had 3 logos.
Correct.
Towards short life. Nothing to compare, I believe, to Rolex's 28. I've been told. Okay, there's the first logo. So, what I do know is Rolex have changed their logo so many times, but nobody seems to get into a fuss about that. I know Adrian did a little bit of work for me when we started the new logo, and he was it Longines or Vacheron you were looking at. I can't remember, but there was a piece of work you did, and it showed the history of one of the major Swiss brands and their logos. Don't know whether you still have that on file. That might be worth showing. But essentially, this logo that you're looking at now, okay, it was the first logo. Some of you may have just seen it on an odd photograph, or may not have come across. Depends how new to the brand. All right, there we go. So that's Vacheron. So that's what Vacheron have done with their logo over the years. They've changed and changed and changed. Okay, and they've been going since 18 something or other. And nobody seems to think that's a problem. So we've changed it. We think we've changed it for the better, and I'm going to tell you why. So this logo, number 1 logo, was the first logo we introduced, obviously. I went out and I said, I think time is round. So we put a Z, the letter O, and then I think Fraser did it actually. He changed it to a C, put the W in the middle, and we took what we thought was a very nice Times Roman. Does that ring a bell, Adrian? Does that look like Times Roman or something?
A little bit modified. Fraser, I've done quite some work to make it look really nice.
All right, okay, well done, Fraser. But we thought that was very English looking, and we put it on our watches. And I think if you go back and look at some of our old watches, whether it's the C5 Malvern or the first C3 Mark 1s, you will see that logo. And the way it is portrayed, the Christopher Ward of London is absolutely tiny, tiny, tiny. A, because it was dominated by the device, and B, because Christopher Ward of London, it's a little bit of a mouthful, takes up quite a bit of the dial. So we decided, when we were speaking, as we developed and we evolved as a brand, we probably needed to stick our chest out a bit more as we were expanding. We then went into, have you got the second logo, which you, I think, are calling the old logo?
Yes, just let me open the file.
One of the questions, Chris, relative to this is not necessarily just the logo itself, it's the placement.
All right, okay.
To throw that in there.
Let me make a note. I will come back to placement as well, yeah. Okay, so CHR Ward London. At the time we did this, we thought it was a bold move. We thought we would reduce You're looking at me or the screen? You're looking at the screen, aren't you? So I'm making all these hand gestures, but they're going nowhere. The CHR Ward, we can obviously condense Christopher Ward down to CHR Ward. That allowed us to make the logo bigger on the dial. And we felt at that time to just go CHR Ward without London was probably too much of a culture shock for most people. And obviously, I think most people in the UK certainly got it. But the CHR was, you know, it was derived from the sort of the crusty old Mayfair shirt makers and shops that you'll find in London that go back and date a couple of centuries back to Dickensian times. And we were happy with it at the time, and off we went on our merry way. And I think that's the logo that most people that were the sort of second phase entrance into the brand sort of became accustomed to and started to cherish, which is fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic that everybody's so passionate about the logo. I mean, I'm passionate about the new logo, and I'm going to tell you why. What we found with that second logo is that as we expanded internationally, and let's not forget, you know, there is a person behind the brand. It is called Christopher Ward. It is an eponymous brand. You know, Paul Smith is not called Pool SMTH. You know, my name is Christopher Ward. So we decided, let's not hide behind something we're not. And those things we're not are crusty and old with a heritage that goes back to Dickensian times, like Vacheron Constantin. We weren't that. We're certainly not in London. We're quite proud now that we've moved out of London. We were in London when we first started. That was why it was introduced in Logo 1. But we were only there a short time and we moved out. So if we were going to be this honest and transparent brand, we needed to drop London. And we needed to get back to, and the reason we needed to get back to Christopher Ward, one of the reasons, certainly a big one, is when people started addressing me in emails as Dear Krupp from China or Dear Krupp from Denmark, they didn't quite get it that there was actually a bloke behind the brand that you could talk to, and his name was Christopher. So we decided to do that. So obviously we engaged an agency to do this, and we chewed about it. We chewed it and chewed it, and we decided that if you can show the third logo, the current logo. Adrian, please.
Yes, we have.
Okay, so when we first started, for those that do know, you will note that we only started with the Christopher Ward, and the twin flag devices weren't there. And the twin flag devices, at the time, we were seeking legal advice on, and we thought best to just go with Christopher Ward. Don't want to step on any toes. But what we did do is we introduced the twin flags into all our literature, into our ads. We introduced it into the Loop magazine. And I think at the time, what happened was, you know, there's a little bit of debate, let's say, heated debate about whether we should have done that. We believed we were doing the right thing. But we did say at that time that the brand and the logoing was going to evolve, and that sometime the twin flag device would come together with Christopher Ward, and it would be something that we could hang our hat on as a sort of a complete package, an overall handwriting. So you now see that in all our packaging. If you take the watch out of the box and you take the foam cushion out, you can see that the device is inside the box. We go that far. It's on the crown. It's now on dials. It's even on the back of SH21 engraved. You know, so other companies will have Côte de Genève or they will have Perlage. We've got our own symbol there. So that we see the two going hand in hand. And what it does say is that there are real people behind this brand, and you can speak to them. I mean, you're speaking to me tonight. You know, we've never stopped anybody coming direct. I'll meet people in the showroom. That's fine. So we believe in this logo. So and when we went into this, we knew twin flags were there, so we chose a Swiss font, which is LL Brown. And if Adrian, you can just blow up on the Christopher Ward for me, please. Yeah, that's great. That's fine. So we took, and Hannah, if you can just to amuse me more than anything, if you could just pull up an image of the London Underground. This is a Swiss font. It's called LL Brown, and the font takes its inspiration from something that in the UK, something in London that we're all very fond of, which is the London Underground and the symbolism that goes with that. And you'll see similarities. This might be old news to some. I do apologize for that. But for those that are just new to the brand, I don't know whether Hannah's found it. Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, that's all in capitals. We're in lowercase, obviously. But the two fonts are very, very similar if you look at them closely together. So if we just go back to Adrian and have a look at what we did with the logo, because we knew we were putting it on watch dials, and there's a lot of work gone into that. You'll see just on the letters R and the letters A, where the curves join the straight bits, you can see that we've actually cut out the inkwells. And this is because when we print on a dial in the size that we're printing, those areas tend to, I don't know what the technical term is, but I'm going to say blob up. They blob up with ink. So we decided that we'll craft this design. So a lot of thought went into it. It wasn't, let's just, away with the old and in with the new. And we believed in it. So, but the real driver for why we're not going to change it back, we might change it going forward, but we're certainly not going to change it back, is, the proof is in the pudding, or the proof is in the sales. And some of you will remember the very first watch that we did this with was the C5 Slimline. And you'll remember that we only introduced the C5 Slimline, and after a year we marked it down. And some of you were probably thinking at the time, it's not that old a watch, can't be selling that well. Why are they marking it down? And the reason we marked it down is because we wanted to try the C5 Slimline out with this logo and see what the sales reaction was. So we did. We marked down the C5 Slimline Mark 1, and then we got a C5 Slimline, let's call it a Mark 2, with the new logo. And the biggest change was not only was it the new logo, but it was also the placement of the logo. Now, placement of the logo. We think we've always been a bit left of field, maybe even left of center as a brand. Certainly don't conform to many of the industry standards. Certainly the way we sell our watches is completely different to most. Follow the normal distribution model. We don't tend to do that. So we thought, why not be different and be left of center, left of center with the logo too. We did numerous tests, both internally, focus groups. They all seemed to, for those people that didn't know the brand before, nobody objected, seemed the right thing to do. But as I said, the real acid test was when we got the sales results in on the new logo C5 Slimline, they were much better than the old logo C5 Slimline. And that gave us the confidence to go forward. And I must say, I think since we introduced that logo back in, I think it was May 2016, top of my head, some of you will also know or will have done the latest survey that we put out. Some of the early results of that being filtered back through to me, and I can already see that we're attracting on the new logo merchandise an age group that is perhaps 10 years younger than previously in 2016. So where we were in the 55-65 bracket, we're now operating around the 40-50 as being our prime takers on the brand, which is great news for the brand. So that, plus the sales figures, plus it's got the name, But we love it anyway. I certainly love it. I know Mike and Pete do as well. So we are not going to change it. Or we might change it, but we're not going to change it back.
Did you ever consider, just a side question, using England on the dial instead of London?
Oh, have we ever? We did consider made in England. Actually, it's a good question. We considered it very, very in a big way, actually, to the point where we were talking about it, and I got invited up to, I think it was Salon QP, and I sat down with the boys from Bremont. I think Accurist were there, and I think Giles Schofield was on a panel. And we were talking about made in England and the resurrection, if you like, of the British watchmaking industry. And I think at the time, the debate around CW Towers was that, yes, you can wrap your brand around in a Union Jack or an English flag, but actually, what does that mean? Now, we know that there are exacting standards if you put Swiss made on a watch. And those exacting standards are set to get even harder to achieve. Made in England effectively meant that you could bring in a watch from anywhere in the world, blow on the back of it, and then you could say on the dial, made in England. Now, if we're going to be an open and honest and transparent brand, that just doesn't cut the mustard for me. Didn't cut the mustard for any of the people in CW. So we decided very early on that we weren't going to do that. So if we were going to put made in England, I think you mean made in England, or do you just mean England?
Actually, what I meant, but I appreciate the explanation, made in England, but I was just thinking where it said replace London.
Oh, with England. No, I don't think we would have done that. I think London probably carries a little bit more weight around the world than England. But the made in England thing that I was just about to get on my high horse about. Yes, you can blow on the back of it, you can say made in England. We don't think it's right to do that unless you are genuinely doing what the Swiss are doing, putting effort into making certainly the majority of the parts or the movements in England. And when we look at the infrastructure around us in England, yes, it's getting better. But can I ever see the British, English watchmaking industry, the infrastructure that's required to be in, to sell in volume, in my lifetime being there? I just can't see it. I just can't see it. So that's why we've decided to be one brand, twin flagged. We get the best of Switzerland and we get the best of England. And that's what we're about.
All right. Well, hopefully that's enough about the logo.
Yes.
All right. And we're getting a little pressed for time here, but some
okay.
Product development.
Yep.
One of the questions that came up is obviously with the Grand Prix watches have been published. What's out there?
The Swiss thing. Yep. Yeah.
And the C7 is showing up as well over 4,000 Swiss francs. And the question was, is that price correct? And do you still see a direction for CW with higher price watches?
Okay. I haven't got my rates of exchange calculated with me, and I don't know whether they added VAT or not, being in Switzerland, but it sounds about right.
The Swiss francs did include the VAT.
It did, yes. So it sounds about right. It's going to be circa £3,000, or I think that's going to be
2,995 to be exact.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Thank you, Adrian. In the UK. Sorry, and the question was?
Well, if the price was correct, but apparently it is.
It is.
But do you still see a direction for the company with higher priced watches?
Okay, I'm not. Okay, hopefully I answered this in the right context. I don't see that it's a direction. I don't see that we're moving that way, certainly up into the £3,000-4,000 market. So I wouldn't be worried about the brand moving into all our watches are going to become that price. Let me put it that way. Do I think we have a market in the UK for price for watches of that ilk? And we're talking about this watch. We're talking about this watch.
Yes.
Which is what we call the C7 Apex, which Adrian has done a brilliant job on. And the reason it's out in Switzerland there now is because it's been nominated for an award. So it's £4,000 for a couple of reasons. And those reasons are, A, there is an inordinate amount of work that's gone into that watch with a number of parties. And the people that Adrian are working with are top Geneva-based people. And they've come up with something that, for us, has pushed the boundaries. And secondly, we've only made 50 pieces. So you put all that work in, you try and amortize it over 50 pieces, the price is going to go up. It is a limited edition. And can we sell a watch of that ilk? Then my answer to that is, if you want that watch, you better be quick, because I've already sold 25 of the 50 and we haven't even launched it yet. It's only been leaked in that Swiss publication. So so 25 of the 50 have already gone. I think we can sell watches at that price. This watch is more like what you might expect from a Richard Mille or a Roger Dubuis, and if they did it, it might perhaps be 30, 50, 100,000 pounds. It's a bargain at £4,000. Depends which end of the kaleidoscope you're looking down, Kip.
So if somebody wants to reserve one of those, they should contact Alex?
They could contact anybody in CW, but if you've got Scott Calloway's email address...
Scott, I'm sorry. I meant Scott.
Yeah, sorry. If you've got Scott, you'll get quicker to the spreadsheet. But anybody in CW will gladly take a £4,000 watch, a £3,000 watch order off you.
All right, well, you heard it, guys. If you want it,
yeah.
No,
it's doing very well, and you know, kudos to Adrian. What he's done there is brilliant.
Okay, so that looks like a skeleton watch to me.
Ooh.
Your mind about skeleton watches?
Skeleton.
I mean, I've known you over 10 years, and this is the first skeleton I've seen from you.
No. This is not a skeleton. No, please. Adrian, show them what I think a skeleton is that I detest.
Done.
Yes. I mean,
is that what you're meaning by skeleton watch?
That's not a bad one, actually. I mean, that is a Glashütte one. It's quite nice, but you know, I'm not going to call it skeleton. I can't call it skeleton gear. I just can't say the word. Adrian will describe a little bit later what it is, but it's certainly not a skeleton. What we asked Adrian to do was build us a watch that was fit to be called a 5-year to be a celebration of the 5th year of SH21. So I think Adrian went away and he looked at it and he thought, what are the important parts of SH21? It's the power reserve and it's the twin barrels. It's the 120 hours. So if we look at the case back, which I think he's sharing now, yes, he's done a marvelous job on the back, and equally on the front. Adrian decided he wanted to concentrate on showing the power reserve off. So it's semi-skeletonized, if you like, or whatever. But what you've got are you've got windows that you can see through to the movement. But Adrian only wanted to show the parts that were important. He didn't want to skeletonize it. I think he's against. We wanted to be more Richard Mille than Shenzhen or Charlie Chan or some of the horrible Chinese things that you see. And I apologize to anybody who's Chinese, from Chinese heritage, but some of the stuff that you do see coming out of those markets is absolutely horrible. I just associate, maybe I've spent too long in China, but I just see it all as horrible tat. The Glashütte one, it's it's a nice watch. They're a good brand, but I still wouldn't make one. So I don't see it as a skeleton. So maybe Adrian, you just want to explain
I love
your thoughts about the design, because he's done a brilliant job. I love it, love it, love it.
You said most of it. The reason why we're doing this watch is to celebrate the 5 years since the first prototype of SH21. So this watch is about celebrating what the Swiss team and Johannes have done when they created the SH21. And we wanted to bring the focus on what is exactly special about SH21. It's not just a movement, it's a 5-day Spa Reserve movement. And you can go out there, and there is not many brands that are doing that. You have brands like, you have movement factories like Vaucher manufacture, but their movements go into Parmigiani watches. You have a few Panerais that have long power reserves watches, but they're all very expensive. And here we wanted just to highlight the fact that it's a 5 days. We are proud of it. It's got 2 twin barrels. So we created a completely new design of bridges on the back and on the front that really celebrate that and show our watchmaking skills at its best. We even team up with some people that do hand finishing on the movements. When you question the fact that why is the price so high of £3,000, you have a lot of hand finished parts. So like the bridges are finished by hand, the power reserve bridges are handled all by hand. So all this hand work is a lot of time. So it's not that price that we make up like this. Is time that people are putting into doing pieces. The ratio of our watches still remain the same as we say in our website.
Yeah. Thanks, Aid. I just put a thumbs up there because I can see a few people are sending emails to Scott as I speak. It's a bit like, I don't know, Live Aid or something, isn't it? Anyway, I do happen to have the watch. I don't know how best to show it. If I just pull my screen down, I'm hoping. Yes, so the light's a little bit difficult, but you can see here there's a little bit of texture going on around the C7 case. Hopefully you can pick that up. I'm not as good as Joshua Clare Flag at all this stuff, but there you go. There it is in the metal. Anyway, hopefully that gives you some idea. And obviously, taking my own watch off on the wrist. Where's the camera?
Put your arm in front of the camera.
I felt a little bit difficult, but there you go. Hope you like it. And for 49 lucky people, you'll be getting one in the post soon.
That's a 42 millimeter?
Yes, in the C7 case, and Adrian's just done a little bit of texture work on the middle part.
Great. Looks good. Look forward to it.
Yeah, cool.
All right, we're moving right along here. Some of the best designs that a lot of people feel have come out of Christopher Ward are some of the TMB ones, regardless of how they feel about metal pieces or the additional cost and all that in it. But the designs themselves. In the past, you did one, the DBR1, with and without, effectively without a piece of metal and one with.
Yes, we did, based on the success of the TMB. Yes.
Any plans to expand, say, like the Morgan line, or any of the TMB designs, and bring them more, produce them a similar piece without the metal?
Yeah. Thinking. Was it the P2725 we took down into the main range? Or the look and feel, I think we did that. I know, Adrian, you're working on the Zagato TMB. You're working on a new chronograph version in quartz. Is that right?
Yes, let me get just a picture of a Zagato.
And while he's doing that, you mentioned Morgan. We will be, actually Morgan have got a show on August the 11th called Thrill on the Hill. And we'll be launching a Morgan Takedown in a £450 in quartz vintage Morgan, similar to the C3, at £450. So there's an example of something coming way down in price and should be a volume line for us. So what you've got on screen is the Zagato. Adrian will explain what he's going to do.
So we're gonna take basically we're gonna take all the bits, the good bits of inspiration we had on the Zagato, but bring it on a more accessible line. So first thing is we won't have the exclusivity of the metal. We won't have a mechanical movement. It's gonna be a quartz chronograph movement. And that's gonna help us to go below the £1,000. Still don't know where we're gonna land at the end, but probably between £500 to £1,000 bracket price at this point.
Okay, all right. So just racking my brain while Adrian was talking there, I don't think there's anything else. I think certainly the Zagato, definitely the Morgan C3, and I think that's it. Kip. Sorry, can't help you beyond that.
All right. Let me rattle off a few complications that people have been asking about, and you can give me some short answers.
Complications, yep.
Or long ones if you prefer.
Okay, yep, fire away.
In no particular order. An annual calendar.
Are we going to do one? That's what you're asking, yeah?
Yes.
Annual calendar. Actually, we did a lot of work on the annual calendar. Probably got 90% of the way there. And then when we did our marketing research, realized the market was actually tiny and we shied away from it. So answer to your question, no.
Okay. The next one may fall into the category of the regatta group, but tide complications.
Tide complications. Okay. If there's anyone in the business who wants a tide complication, it's Mike. He's got a house down on the beach, and he's always banging on about it. But unfortunately, that is so niche. For me, it needs to be connected to GPS somehow, so you know where you are in the world. No point knowing what the tides are doing back in Cornwall when you're in Australia. It sounds to me like it's some sort of electronic type of watch. So Adrian and I, in fact, did go to London and have tried to get a collaboration with Richard Hoptroff on the way, but the prices of the watch and the size of the market, and so no.
We sort of touched on it before, but an SH21 GMT.
SH21 GMT. Okay, we do have an SH21 GMT, and that will launch sometime in August. Hannah, exact date? So the end of August, in line with the Loom magazine, we will be launching one. And I do have one here. You got anything, Adrian? A picture while I pull this sample together.
Sorry, Chris, which watch?
The SH21 C65 GMT. Not GMT.
The bronze?
Actually, we could show the bronze, couldn't we? The GMT, no, we can't do that because that's Loom magazine. Tell you what, let's get the. Tell you what, let's skip it. Let's skip it, and I'll come back to it. I'll dig out the SH21 bronze. Yep, a bit later. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's the next one? Skip that one.
A central hand chronograph.
Central hand chronograph. Nothing on the drawing boards at all for that one. No,
Okay.
nope, nope,
Flyback, ratchet pant,
no.
anything along that line?
That's a complication everybody here just absolutely love to do. To be honest, I don't think we've got the time, the resource. Again, it would be an expensive watch when we did it. I think that's beyond our means in the next couple of years, to be honest. I think we've got a bigger fish to fry again. But you know, if we were going to pick one, I think probably Adrian, myself, Mike, you know, that would be the one we go for. But I can't see it happening, if I'm honest. Unfortunately.
Did you ever consider anything with solar power?
We did, and Seiko down the road. I think they're doing a great job with what they're doing. Can we compete against Seiko? Probably not. Is it something that our Christopher Ward customers are going to buy into? Don't know. So it's not on our agenda. Unless it becomes such a powerful force in the market that we can't ignore it.
How about any future plans for the C7 case? Anything new that you can share with us on that?
Well, you just saw the C7 Apex, where Adrian's done a little bit of work on the texture of the case. I think I have a few prototypes that yet haven't come to market, probably won't go to market, that Adrian showed me earlier today. If I can just see. So I think see Adrian's been playing around with a few C7 variants there. Nice blue one. But these won't make it to market, unfortunately. So he has got other things that he's doing. There's a yellow one that he was playing with.
Bet you we get some comments on that one.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, to the highest bidder, you can have these watches.
Maybe we should run an auction.
Yeah, we'll put them in an auction. I'll do it on social media when I get a chance. You'll have to start following me, unfortunately, but there you go. Yeah, so Adrian's playing around. He is working on it. Certainly, the first major move will be that texture that you get in the middle case on the C7 Apex.
Any plans for another extreme watch, such as the C11 Titanium? Anything that along with a C60, perhaps?
Okay, so
You know, we had the chronograph.
Okay, so you're forcing me in this corner with the Mark III Trident. So
There's that word again.
yeah, I think the answer is yes. We will be doing so. I know Adrian is doing something. I know he's working hard on the whole Trident collection for the future. I think I did mention before, we'll definitely move it down to 42 mil. We'll keep it in 38 mil. It's early days to show. We can't show any prototypes because it's too early days. But I think you're probably at mood board stage, Adrian. Maybe you can talk about your mood boards, the mood boards you showed me and Mike the other day or the other month.
Yes, totally. I mean, we have already some elements in motion, but before we get first samples, we prefer to keep it quiet. But I can share with you what we're aiming to do. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
So few elements that we bring in the attention, and the C60. I mean, just remind ourselves there is nothing wrong with the current C60. Is our best-selling line. It's a great product. So what we want to achieve with this new watch is make our best even better. So by doing this is not a revolution, is an evolution that we're going to apply to it. And in different areas, so we have been listening as we do constantly to all the feedbacks that come to us, and we play around where are the priorities, and here you can kind of feel what we're gonna try to focus on. So Lume, yes, we will work on it, and our goal is to achieve a twice more powerful lume into the watches, into all the C60 Tridents, including the 300. So they all have at least twice more lume into the dial and into the hands, and some surprises into the bezel. That's all I can say at the moment.
Yeah, Adrian tried to convince us that, I think, what was the number? 396% more lume.
3,000 actually.
Oh, 3,000 was it? It was some mad number, and we said, how's that possible? But he's looking at putting lume into both the bezel and the heap more lume into the dial. So we said, okay, we'll just focus on, we will do that, but we'll only boast about the 200% that's going into the dial alone. Yeah.
Then
the dial.
Sorry?
A 200% improvement on the dial.
Yes.
Dial, yeah. Dial alone, yeah.
Dial alone. So it's probably going to be more than this, but we want to measure it once we have our samples. But the quick math is, we took the current Superluminova, and we have more space, so more quantity of lume, so more depth into the indexes, and a tiny bit more larger. We change a bit the shape of it. We make the indexes more interesting, but we're also upgrading to a new type of lume that have been available to us by Superluminova, which is a new range. So that should actually help us to reach even 3 times more. But at this stage, the minimum we're aiming is 2 times more.
Wow.
Okay, and as I said before, this is the area where we're giving Adrian license to try and use more high-tech materials, both in terms of the substrate for the cases. So you may well see a lot more titanium in the new C60 range in the future, but also in the straps, which we discussed before, the lume, obviously. And then I think the original question was alluding to, you know, will we have something in the more elite level? Then yes, that is definitely in Adrian's thinking, that there will be, whether you call it professional or better than best or elite, whatever, but certainly, you know, with the helium release valves, better bracelets, all that type of stuff. So we're looking to upgrade as much as we can, where it matters, the C60 range. It won't all happen at once, because it's a big job. And obviously, we've still got C60 Tridents that we want to continue selling. But we've given ourselves a goal, you know, maybe the early part of the summer next year, maybe a little bit earlier, to try and get the first model or 2 out. But no pressure then, Adrian, yeah?
When do you project an MK3?
When do we project to get the Mark III out?
Yeah.
Adrian will probably tell me different. I'd like to push Adrian to get it at sort of April, May. I think he's probably somewhere May to July. Time will tell. There's a lot of work to do, a lot of testing to do. I know, you know, he's only showing you the mood boards here. I know he's already done technical drawings. They've gone out for prototype. I think he's already had some stereolithic 3D printed models done. So, you know, he's fairly advanced. If he can hit sort of April, May time, that'd be fantastic. If we have to wait till July, August, then we'll wait till July, August. But the important thing is we get it right rather than rush it to market.
Any future bronze models in the works? Like a
Yes, future bronze. We're going to launch 2 bronze models, one next week actually, and one a little bit later, but both in August. And I do happen to have one on my desk. You've probably got an image of it as well, have you, Adrian?
Oh yeah, I actually have some shot that came up from the photography that are very good. I hope. Let me get this. Yes. There you have.
Okay,
65 bronze, 41 mil with an SH21.
Yeah. So you can see small second there. It's hand wound, right?
Yes.
And you will see my webcam has now moved to the actual watch. Hopefully you can see it there. I think this one is going to be a winner for three reasons really. C65 we know is a winner. SH21 is a great movement, and it's also in bronze, which is flying high as well. So there it is. If you'll allow me, I'll put it on my wrist. Probably not as handsome as that wrist model there that Adrian is showing. But there you go. It's all a bit difficult. Contorting myself. But here you go. There you go.
Sold, smart, nice. So
I like
some positive feedback.
Yeah, so we're launching that one. As I say, that one's going to be next week. And Hannah's just writing down for me that the C60 GMT is also going to launch in August. Unfortunately, I don't have a sample of that for some reason. I must be at the photographers, but I'm sure you can, if you look at the C60 bronze in 43mm and imagine that as a GMT, that will be launching as well.
any plans for any other metals, gold, or anything else that you've considered?
We did consider a gold moon phase. Where did we get to on that one, Adrian? Did we reject it in the end? I think we did.
We actually found a cooler idea even than the gold moon phase. So nothing I can tell now, but it's gonna be. I know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So watch this space. Maybe in about 3 or 4 months, we can show you something on that. It is a good idea.
Coming back to the gold, we have a plan to gold plate one of our current watches.
We do. Have you got an image you can share?
Don't have an image, but I can tell you it's going to be in the Malvern range.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's gold, Kip.
Okay. Go back to that last model you showed us. Just a question: can you give us a price on that? Yeah.
This one. What, the SH21?
Yes. Is that an LE or going to be part of the line?
It's an LE of 150 pieces.
It's an LE of 150 pieces, and I think it was it 1850 or was it cheaper than that in the end?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll check that out for you, Kip, but I'll be able to give you an exact price probably tomorrow, and then you can share that with the forum. Yeah, somewhere between. Yeah, I think it's towards the 1850. Yeah.
Anything else with future models you can tell us about, or shall we?
The one that springs to mind to me that we've not covered, Adrian, is the World Timer that you've been working on.
Yes.
I think Sorry?
I said that's where I was heading.
Oh, was it? Right, okay. Yeah, we've got a World Timer. We've delayed the launch of this until Adrian got it right. Each time it came back and we almost launched, Adrian wasn't completely happy. So he's now there. We've modified the complication. Adrian will explain a little bit more about that, but it's up on your screen now.
So what we changed a few things about this World Timer. First thing, we come back to a 12 hours display for the hours and minutes, and now we have a World Timer that shows instantly every single city time zone in the world at every time of the day. So you can see in the model display there. That in Bangkok is 5 in the afternoon, and in Paris is 11 in the morning. And you will have here a transparent disc, which turns all the time. So that GMT transparent disc replaces the GMT hand. Under that, we have a map of the world that is also semi-transparent. And under that, you have another layer, which is the the orange parts there into this model, which is the kind of reminder of your favorite time zone. So via the crown, you're gonna be able to change the position of that orange indicator to any position you prefer. So if your favorite time zone is Dakar, we can just set it up into Dakar, and at any time of the day, you can easily see and find out where is Dakar in the map and what time is in Dakar.
Yeah. So I think it's a great piece of work that Adrian's done there, together with the people over in Switzerland. Just moving from the 24-hour time display to the 12-hour display should be a big plus. It was difficult to adjust, especially if you're a watch collector and you're changing watches all the time. People found it difficult to adjust their brains to 24-hour display and 12. So I think this does the job more than perfectly, and I think it's a great looking watch. So looking forward to that launching, which I think is going to launch, Adrian,
in 1st of November.
Yeah, in November. Yeah, so just pre-Christmas. What do you think, Kip?
Yeah, no, I like it.
Good.
I like it.
Yeah, buy one.
Something else to take up space for me.
yeah. Move one of those clocks out. Yeah.
Well, if you look, you can see some watches behind me. Well,
oh yeah. There's you get fit a lot of watches where that big clock is, though. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Model-wise?
Well, I guess we probably should wrap this up. There's really two questions here. One was really about if you had any thoughts about future developments of the forum, but not an FLE, but changing the structure or anything like that. And I think that question came up because of our recent meeting.
You're talking the IT and the forum system, you mean? Yeah. I've not been too heavily involved with that, if I'm honest. I think, in fact, you're probably better placed than I am. I know Sammy is heading it up. I know there was an update maybe about a week or so ago. I don't know whether you're privy to that. I hope so, because
I had.
You can explain more about it than I can.
I actually had a talk with Sammy this morning, and things are moving forward. We're addressing all the things that we've put on that plan that we put together when the admin team was at the towers, and he's hoping to have some positive updates for me in the next week or two. Okay. So if things go as we think they are going to go, you could see some changes over the next couple of months. And,
all right, okay.
We will obviously let the forum know what's going on as soon as we have something definitive that we can say. But things are being worked on, and the whole structure, we'll get it into a secure site, and things will be faster and easier to work with. So things are moving forward in that area.
All right. We have
scheduled anyway.
What about the Christmas tree lights, though? Are they staying?
I hope so.
Okay.
We probably should. We've taken way too much of your time, Chris, and I want to thank you for that.
That's fine.
One final question that a few people want to know about is that, based on a recent question on the forum, but if you could pick one watch, past or present, what would it be?
That's like asking to choose between your kids, isn't it? Okay,
it is.
Past or present?
Past or present. Anything that the company...
Like a desert island watch.
Yes.
Okay, let me do past and present.
All right.
And maybe even future. So past, I would choose the C3 Malvern Mark 1. I think its code was C3 GWTR.
Beautiful.
So on an alligator strap with a deployment clasp. It was only gold plated. I think we sold it for about £300 at the time. I've still got one today with the original logo, and I just love the look and feel of that watch. And I do remember the time that Mike and I were in the car museum looking at the Aston Martins, and that means a lot to me. So that one from the past. From the present. Ooh, present.
Tough one, huh?
It is tough. One of my favorite watches, and I think it's just come down off the website, unfortunately, is...
Be careful, Chris.
the C9 single pusher. That's probably one I'm most proud of. I just love turning that one over and looking at the movement. I think Johannes did a brilliant job when he was here. I'll always remember him for that. Brought a tear to my eye when I first saw it, almost bringing a tear to my eyes now, knowing that Johannes did it and he's no longer with us. So, C9 single pusher. And if there was a future watch, I'm looking forward to what Adrian is going to do on the new Trident collection. I don't know what he's going to do at the top end, but I would love him to do a C60 43mm titanium, 1,000 meters, Kingfisher blue dial, helium release valve, all the bells and whistles, with one of those nice straps that I just saw. Something like that.
Have you been sneaking in my drawings?
Your drawings, maybe, but not in your drawers. Yeah?
Do that. Just price it at $9.95. You'll have a winner.
Yeah. Love to.
All right. That's about all we got. We kept it for about 2 hours now.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I want to thank you and Adrian and Hannah for joining me and the rest of us here to share some of your wisdom and some outlook.
Well, I hope it's been useful. 2 hours staring at a bald-headed man at 12 o'clock at night. I can see why it might not be the best entertainment. Certainly better than Love Island, maybe. But
well, I've enjoyed it. No.
But before you go, Kip, I'd like to extend my thanks, certainly to you, certainly to everybody who's showed up this evening. My able-bodied assistant, Hannah, who's at the side of me here, smiled all the way through it. And Adrian down the corridor, big thanks to them. So I look forward to seeing the transcripts. I hope it's been useful to everybody. I'm more than willing to do this more often. If you want to go back to the old format, that's fine. I actually found this easier than I thought I was going to find it. To be honest.
Went better than I hoped.
But I'm sure you're going to discuss it on the forum, and we'll try and get some photographs to you. We'll try and get a video of it or whatever, the useful bits anyway, not the silly bits.
Unfortunately, I've got one error to confess to. I neglected to start the recording for the first 5 minutes, so we're a little short on the opening, but the rest of it we got, I hope.
Okay.
But we'll get that processed and see where we go. And if everything goes like it should, then hopefully we'll get it posted in a day or two. If everything came out. If not, well, we'll deal with it.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, so Mark in New Jersey, get over to that football ground, or at least get cheering Liverpool, because we've got to beat Manchester City. And that's where I'm off now, off home to watch the football. Great.
All right, say hi to Vera.
I will say hi to Vera, and it's my birthday tomorrow, so I won't be in Kip.
Okay. Yes, I almost forgot.
Thanks, everybody, and see you soon.
All right,
bye now.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.